In a development that has shaken royal watchers and sparked intense global debate, reports have surfaced claiming that King Charles has sent a massive $59 million financial demand back to Prince Harry. The situation, already complicated by ongoing legal battles and strained family relations, has now taken a dramatic financial turn that many say could deepen the divide between Harry and the rest of the royal family. What makes the story even more explosive is the additional claim that Meghan Markle may have already sold off key assets connected to their ventures, leaving Harry exposed to an overwhelming financial burden. At the center of this controversy is not just money, but a growing breakdown in trust and communication between Prince Harry and the monarchy. Over the past few years, Harry's relationship with the royal institution has shifted from duty and structure to independence and conflict. His move to the United States with Meghan marked a turning point. But the legal and financial consequences of that decision appear to be continuing to unfold in unexpected ways. The alleged $59 million bill is now being viewed by some as a symbolic breaking point rather than just a financial dispute. Inside Buckingham Palace, reactions to the reported demand are said to be mixed with concern and firm resistance. Senior officials reportedly view the claim as highly unusual, especially given the scale of the amount and its connection to ongoing legal disputes involving Harry. From the palace's perspective, separating personal legal battles from royal financial responsibility is essential, and accepting such a request could set a complicated precedent for the future of the monarchy. King Charles's position, according to insider reports, appears to be firm and direct. The message from the palace is understood to be that Harry's legal and financial choices are his own responsibility. This reflects a broader approach the modern monarchy has been taking in recent years, reducing financial overlap between personal decisions and official royal support. While emotional tensions within the family remain a public topic of speculation, the financial line being drawn here is reportedly very clear. The breakdown of the alleged $59 million figure has also drawn attention. Reports suggest it includes legal fees, security costs, contingency funds, and even claims related to opportunity losses and personal damages. To critics, this type of financial breakdown feels unusual in a royal context, where such disputes are rarely made public in this way. Supporters of Harry, however, argue that his legal battles with major media organizations have required significant resources, and that the scale reflects the seriousness of the cases involved. Meanwhile, the added claim involving Meghan Markle has intensified public curiosity. According to speculation circulating online, assets tied to their business and media ventures may have been sold or restructured, potentially limiting financial flexibility within their shared household. While none of these claims have been officially confirmed, they have contributed to the narrative of financial pressure surrounding Harry at a time when legal costs are already extremely high. As the story continues to develop, it highlights a deeper reality behind royal life that is often hidden from public view. Beyond the ceremonies, titles, and public appearances, there are complex legal, financial, and personal structures that govern the lives of royal family members. When those structures are tested, especially after a public departure from royal duties, the consequences can become both financially and emotionally significant. Prince Harry's ongoing legal battles have already placed him under intense public scrutiny. His fight against media organizations over privacy and press practices has been framed by him as a matter of principle. However, legal experts have pointed out that such cases are extremely expensive and unpredictable, especially when they involve large media corporations with vast legal resources. The financial risk, therefore, is not just hypothetical but very real. At the same time, the monarchy itself is navigating its own transition. King Charles's reign has been marked by efforts to modernize the institution, streamline its operations, and reduce public controversy. In this context, distancing the royal household from personal legal disputes involving non-working royals appears consistent with that broader strategy. It is a balancing act between family ties and institutional responsibility. Public reaction to the story has been sharply divided. Some view it as another chapter in a long-running family conflict that has played out on a global stage. Others see it as an example of how modern royal life intersects with legal and financial realities in ways that were previously hidden from public view. Social media discussions have amplified every detail, turning what might have once been a private matter into an international talking point. What makes this situation particularly compelling is the uncertainty surrounding its outcome. If the financial claims are pursued further, they could lead to prolonged legal negotiations or even deeper institutional separation. If they are dismissed or resolved internally, the story may shift toward reconciliation or quiet closure. Either way, the financial and emotional stakes remain high. For Prince Harry, the situation represents another difficult chapter in a journey already marked by major transitions. From royal duties in the UK to life in California, from public service to private enterprise, and now to high-stakes legal battles, his path has been anything but simple. Each new development adds another layer of complexity to an already closely watched public life. In the end, whether the $59 million claim is viewed as a legal reality, a symbolic gesture, or a misunderstanding, it reflects the ongoing tension between independence and institution, personal choice and royal expectation. As the story continues to unfold, one thing is clear. The divide between Prince Harry and the royal establishment remains one of the most closely followed narratives in the modern royal era. As this controversy continues to circulate across global media, one of the most important questions being asked is how much of the situation is actually confirmed and how much is interpretation, speculation, or narrative building. In modern royal reporting, financial claims and private disputes often become amplified as they pass through multiple sources, creating a version of events that feels more dramatic with each retelling. This is especially true when it involves Prince Harry and the royal family, where public interest is already extremely high. What is clear, however, is that the relationship between Harry and the royal institution has reached a stage where financial and legal issues are no longer separate from emotional and historical tensions. Every development is viewed through the lens of past disagreements, including Harry and Meghan's departure from royal duties, their interviews, public statements, and ongoing legal battles. This means even financial claims quickly become symbolic in the wider story of royal separation. Inside legal circles, cases involving public figures like Prince Harry are often extremely complex. When lawsuits involve major media organizations, privacy claims, and historical allegations, the legal costs can escalate quickly over time. Even when a case begins with narrow focus, it can expand as new evidence, witnesses, and arguments are introduced. This is why large financial figures sometimes appear in such disputes, even if they seem surprising to the public. At the same time, royal finances operate under a different structure than ordinary legal cases. The monarchy is not a private business in the traditional sense, nor is it entirely separate from public funding and historical arrangements. This creates a complicated environment where personal legal battles can sometimes appear to overlap with institutional identity, even when officially they are kept separate. That complexity is part of what makes the current situation so heavily debated. Supporters of Prince Harry argue that his legal actions are rooted in principle rather than financial motivation. From their perspective, his lawsuits against media organizations are about accountability, privacy, and the long-term impact of press behavior on public figures and their families. They believe that such cases are difficult, expensive, and emotionally draining, and therefore large financial demands are not unusual in this context. On the other side, critics argue that stepping away from royal duties also means stepping away from certain institutional protections. In their view, when Harry and Meghan chose independence, they also accepted responsibility for their personal and financial decisions. This includes legal battles, security arrangements, and lifestyle costs that previously would have been supported within the royal structure. The alleged involvement of Meghan Markle in selling or restructuring assets has added another layer to the discussion, though it remains unverified in official terms. Online commentary has amplified this detail, using it as a way to frame the situation as financial pressure within the household. However, in reality, high-profile couples often manage assets, investments, and business ventures as part of long-term financial planning, especially when they're involved in media production and brand partnerships. What cannot be ignored is the media environment surrounding the story. In the age of social media, every claim involving the royal family spreads rapidly, often without full verification. Headlines are designed to capture attention quickly, and complex legal or financial issues are often simplified into dramatic narratives. This creates a situation where public perception can shift faster than official confirmation or legal clarification. For Prince Harry personally, this is not the first time he has faced intense financial and public scrutiny. Since stepping away from royal duties, he has been involved in multiple projects, interviews, and legal efforts aimed at reshaping his public image and addressing issues he believes are important. However, each step has also brought increased attention and criticism, making his position uniquely exposed compared to most public figures. The monarchy, meanwhile, continues to focus on stability and continuity. King Charles's approach has been widely interpreted as one of institutional protection, ensuring that the royal family remains structured, financially clear, and publicly consistent. In this context, distancing official royal responsibility from personal legal matters is seen as part of maintaining long-term institutional credibility. As the story develops further, one of the key unknowns is how it will ultimately be resolved. Financial disputes of this scale, especially when tied to public figures, often go through stages of negotiation, clarification, and sometimes quiet settlement. In many cases, the public narrative continues even after the private situation has been resolved behind closed doors. For now, what remains is a mixture of confirmed facts, reported claims, and widespread speculation. The idea of a $59 million bill, whether fully accurate or partially interpreted, has already become part of a larger narrative about Prince Harry's relationship with the royal family and his life outside the institution. It reflects how modern royal stories are no longer confined to palace walls, but instead unfold in real time across global media platforms. Ultimately, this situation highlights a broader truth about public life in the modern era. Once private disputes become public narratives, they take on a life of their own. Financial figures become symbols, legal battles become stories, and personal decisions become global debates. In the case of Prince Harry, this transformation is especially visible as every development continues to attract worldwide attention. And as the story continues to evolve, one thing is certain. The intersection of royalty, money, media, and personal choice will remain one of the most closely watched dynamics in modern public life. As more details continue to surface and public discussion grows louder, it becomes increasingly clear that this situation is not just about one bill, one legal case, or even one family disagreement. Instead, it reflects a much larger shift in how modern royalty exists in a world dominated by media, finance, and public opinion. Every action is recorded, analyzed, and interpreted within seconds, turning private matters into global conversations almost instantly. In earlier generations, disputes within the royal family were often handled quietly, behind closed doors, with limited public exposure. Today, however, the situation is completely different. The rise of digital media, 24-hour news cycles, and social platforms means that even unverified claims can spread worldwide within minutes. This creates a constant pressure where perception often becomes as important as reality. For Prince Harry, this environment has meant that every step of his post-royal life is under constant scrutiny. From legal battles to personal decisions, nothing remains private for long. Supporters argue that he is fighting for important principles such as privacy, press accountability, and personal freedom. Critics, however, believe that his choices have led him into increasingly complex and expensive situations that are difficult to manage outside the royal system. At the same time, the royal family itself is also adapting to this new reality. King Charles and senior members of the monarchy are operating in a time where transparency and financial clarity are more important than ever before. The institution is under pressure to modernize while still maintaining tradition, dignity, and stability. This balance is not easy, especially when personal family matters become public headlines. The alleged $59 million bill, regardless of its full accuracy, has now become a symbol in this larger narrative. To some, it represents the cost of independence and legal ambition. To others, it reflects the ongoing tension between Harry and the institution he was born into. But more than anything, it shows how financial figures in royal stories often carry emotional and symbolic weight far beyond their actual numbers. As for Meghan Markle's reported financial decisions, they have been widely discussed but remain largely speculative in verified terms. Still, their inclusion in the public conversation highlights how closely the couple is followed and how quickly assumptions can form when information is incomplete. In high-profile lives like theirs, even ordinary financial planning can be interpreted as something much larger when viewed through a public lens. What stands out most in this entire situation is how layered it has become. On the surface, it appears to be a financial dispute involving legal costs and responsibility. But underneath, it touches on deeper themes: identity, family loyalty, independence, responsibility, and the cost of freedom from traditional institutions. These are not simple issues, and they do not resolve quickly. Legal experts often point out that cases involving major public figures rarely stay confined to the courtroom. They spill over into public opinion, media narratives, and long-term reputation building. In Harry's case, every legal development is also a media event, and every media report becomes part of the broader public perception of his journey. Meanwhile, the royal family continues its own path forward, focused on official duties, national responsibilities, and institutional continuity. From public appearances to state events, the monarchy maintains its structured presence, even as private tensions occasionally surface in public discussion. This separation between duty and personal life is becoming increasingly important for the institution's modern identity. Looking ahead, the biggest question is not just how this financial dispute will end, but how it will shape the long-term relationship between Prince Harry and the royal family. Will there be further distance, continued legal complexity, or eventually some form of reconciliation? At this stage, the answer remains uncertain. What is certain, however, is that this story has already become part of a much larger narrative about the modern monarchy and its place in today's world. It reflects our